Hey everybody, this is Sensei Sid from Fields Karate. Today I want to teach you a new technique. It's called a side thrust kick. It's one of the strongest kicks that we have in the Shotokan system, and it's personally one of my favorites. Now, to do a side thrust kick, I'm going to demonstrate it on this bag. Now I want you to remember something from the beginning. Most of our kicks, as a self-defense style, most of our kicks are actually going to go pretty low. I don't ever like kicking someone above the belt if I don't absolutely have to. So most of my kicks are going to go to the legs or to the hips, maybe the lower abdomen. But a lot of times you see in tournaments and in different fights, and especially in movies, you see people kicking each other in the head all the time. And while a kick to the head can be very, very devastating, it's also typically much slower and much higher risk of getting caught and you getting thrown. So I generally don't advocate for real high kicks as we train, because we focus on the self-defense, the practical self-defense side of karate. Anyway, back to our side thrust kick. For a side thrust kick, you're actually striking with the back half of the blade of your foot. Okay, so you're not kicking with the flat heel as much as you're going to turn your foot out and try to kick with the edge, the outer edge of your foot. Now to do this, you've got to judge some distance, and depending on how far you are from your opponent, you may have to take a step, you may not. From where I am now, I don't need to take a step, I'm within range. So the first thing I'm going to do is shift my weight to my back leg, my supporting leg, and I'm going to chamber this knee as high into my chest as I can. The higher the better. Keeping my hands up as a guard between me and my opponent, I'm going to turn on my supporting foot, on the ball of my foot, so that my heel is facing my target. I'm still watching him. And I'm going to lean over. And then I'm going to push that foot with the blade, the edge of my foot, leading. I'm going to push it straight out, lock it out, and then pull it back and down. Now this is a very, very strong kick. So you want to lock that leg all the way out, and you're going to hold it for just a split second. Not long enough for someone to catch it, but long enough for you to transfer all of the energy that you just created into your opponent. So standing, it's going to look something like this. Now, as with every technique, it's important to remember to breathe out as you extend your kick. So make sure that you coordinate your breath with your kick, so you can hear that as I kick. Bring it back down. Try to keep your hips low. Use that supporting leg to keep your supporting knee to keep your hips low, so that it gives you a little bit better stability. Now, what if you're a little further away? And now I need to get there. I'm out of range. Two ways to make up that range, depending on which way you're facing. If I want to kick with what's right now my right leg, my forward leg, and I've got to make up some range, I can actually take a step behind. Now, if you watched our video on the Kibadachi, on that lesson, you'll remember me talking about this. You can take a step behind. You don't want to step in front, but step behind, and look at where my supporting foot is. My heel is already facing my target. Chamber up, lean over, and kick. Okay? So you can actually take that step and then step right back. Eventually, when you start doing this a lot faster, that step becomes a skip. So it's the same motion, just sped up a little bit. But if you're starting out with this kick, go slow. Very, very mechanically. So, step behind, chamber, turn over, kick, back. Okay? Very, very mechanical. Now, for those of you who are a little more advanced, let's say I need to make up this distance, but I want to kick off my back leg. I can do the same thing, except instead of stepping behind and kicking, I'm going to swing this foot around in front, bring my feet in close, chamber it in high. So it's going to look, I'll do it from this angle. It's going to look a little more like this. Come in. Now, to do the kick that way, it takes a little more time. It's a very, very strong way to get your kick out, because that swing around brings your knee tighter into your chest. You're using momentum to chamber, and then you can throw it out. But it does take a little more time, so choose carefully how you move into range when you do this. So those are the basics on how to do a simple side thrust kick. You also need to understand where you're kicking. Again, you'll see people do these kicks at people's heads. And while they work and while they are devastating, I have both kicked people in the head with this and been kicked in the head with this. It hurts. But I've also thrown that kick head high and had people catch it and throw me to the ground. So if you're going to use this kick, if you need to use this kick low. Okay, no higher than the belt, maybe the lower abdomen. But try to go for the thigh, go for the knee. Understanding if you kick someone in the side of the knee with this, you're probably going to break their knee. If you kick someone in the front of the knee and their leg is straight, you might break their knee. So your best target, if you don't want to break someone's knee, is to actually do it on the thigh, front or on the side. Either one's going to work very well. But that's an excellent target. If you can kick them in the hips, kicking someone in the hips doesn't cause as much damage always, but it does move them. If you can move their center of gravity, which is in the cross section of their hip, then you can move where they are. You can actually push them back. And sometimes you need to be able to do that to control a fight. Anyway, there's a lot more to be said about that, but know your target. Your best target's going to be the knee, the thigh, the hip, no higher than the lower abdomen. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this little lesson on the side thrust kick. Again, this kick is one of my favorites. It is my go-to kick. Very strong, very powerful, very difficult to stop. So, if you need something that's quick and effective, this is one of the kicks to use. But remember too, as karateka, it's always our hope that we can refrain from violent behavior. If you can stop a fight in such a way that you don't need to use this kick, don't use the kick. Find another way to end the fight before it goes to violence. Alright guys, take this home, practice it, train hard. Feel free to drop a picture or a video in the comments section. I'd love to see how you're doing working on this, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.